a little vacation to the Gulf Coast a few weeks ago, and it really put me in the mood to do a few beachy projects. Now, it is officially turtle season. May 1st is the start of turtle nesting season. So I really hope you enjoy the project today. But first, before I get started, look at these shark's teeth that I found. Just stepped out on the beach, and two, just like that. So maybe it's going to be a good day. So this is just another turtle that I cut out of a piece of scrap wood, and I just painted it with some spray paint, I think in vintage teal or whatever, just to give me the base coat in the same color that I'm using on top. So I always like to do that. I always like to cover the wood. And then I used my craft glue, advanced craft glue. I got this on Amazon. I saw another YouTuber using it when she was making shell flowers, and I got really curious about it that I'm just going to try it. Um, I like using resin when I'm making my shell flowers or hot glue, but I'm going to try this. And I tried it on gluing these rocks on, and it's grabbing really, really well. But so this, so this is going to be the base of my beach. I wanted my big stuff first. I just got this new auto mixer from Let's Resin, and I'm really excited to try it today because my hands have really been giving me a fit with my arthritis. So this mixer, I can use it completely hands-free, or I can take the mixer off of the base and use it like a hand blender, which is really cool. Now, there are 3 different timer settings, so you can set it to turn off automatically if you want. And there's also 3 different speed settings for different viscosities. And then the paddles are really easy to clean too. And did I mention that it's rechargeable and wireless? Well, it is. And I'm going to use the Let's Resin Fast Cure because I'm kind of on a time crunch. I need this turtle for a show this weekend. Well, I was not able to use it completely hands-free because the cup kept spinning around on the base. So I've got to figure that out. But it worked really, really well by hand. This is really, really going to save my hands with the arthritis pain. And then, I always like to take a pop stick and give one more stir. I'm not worried about bubbles because this is not going to be in a mold. So I did mix up 6 ounces, and it's, I guess the rule of thumb with when you're doing a countertop pour, of course, this is not a countertop, but this is, I'm gonna pour it a little bit deeper, I think, than like a normal skim coat because I've got some beach going on here, and then I'm going to do my waves. So my first layer, I think, I'm going to go ahead and separate the resin out into 2 cups. And then I'm going to reserve a little bit for white because the white's going to be waves. And then I got to get my beach down in here. So probably have to mix more resin. But I know I'm going to have to do probably definitely 2 layers. Don't need very much in here for white. So the white is going to be in here. You don't need that much for the white. Okay, so I am going to use the KS resin, liquid resin dye in turquoise, which y'all know is my favorite color. And for this amount, I'm going to add a good bit because that's a lot of resin in that cup. So for my second cup, I'm going to use the Let's Resin liquid resin dye in green, which really is more, to me, it's more of like a sea green. It's not, it's just a really pretty turquoisey green. I want to go ahead and clean my paddle. How do I get it off? I'm going to go ahead and clean with some alcohol because that way it's easier to clean it now while the resin is wet rather than when the resin is dry. And I'm just soaking it down with alcohol. Okay. Set that aside. Oh, it's so pretty. Actually, I think I messed up. I need a little bit more white. Oh man, watch what I do. Need a little bit more clear. So that that resin pigment was just skating right in the middle there. And these are opaque dyes, but I didn't add enough, I don't think. I probably just need to add a little bit more. That's a lot. There we go. It is stirred up. I probably could have added a third color of resin, but it's okay. All right, so now so let me explain a little bit about what I'm doing here. I am just pouring the resin on pretty randomly. There's not a perfect way to do this. There's not a perfect pattern. And it almost looks like I don't have enough resin on, on my turtle, but I promise you it is going to be absolutely perfect. So I'm pouring the blue on the top of the turtle to kind of mimic, the deeper ocean, and then the lighter blue goes towards the middle and the bottom. And then I'm just taking my hand and I'm blending the two together very, very lightly, making sure that I have enough resin on, even I have an even amount of resin on all parts of the turtle, and then also making sure that I have resin along the edge of the turtle so that there's a good bond. And now the not so secret ingredient to perfect ocean waves and frothy, lacy waves is you want to put a layer of clear, or just a line of clear resin before you lay down your white
my line
layer.
of clear. Then I'm going to mix the white, ocean white pigment. I want it to be really opaque. Okay. Okay. Got my heat gun plugged up. The more white you add, the bigger your wave is going to be. And I'm going to try to pull this way out, but I'm going to do 2 layers. So I think I'm going to just drizzle a little bit. Okay. I've got low heat and high air. Make hot bubbles first, heat up the resin. That'll help us a little bit.
So using the heat gun over the whole surface serves 2 purposes. One, it pops all those little surface bubbles and you can see them popping. 2, it heats up the resin so that when I'm ready to blow these waves out,
Okay.
it works perfectly. So remember, I laid down the layer of clear first. And so as I'm pushing the white over, as I'm blowing the white out, it's sort of skating on that clear layer so that it's not blending in with the blue.
You can kind of tilt it too. That'll help me draw those waves out. There we go. Look at that. You see the difference? See the difference that that white makes, or having the clear layer? See how you can see the white, and if when I don't have a clear layer, the white is just blending in that blue, and we're not getting as pretty of a cell in the lacing as we would if we had had that clear layer. But this is just the underside. And I love that, man. Let's blow this out. Okay. Ooh, that's so pretty. Okay. Ooh, look at what I got going on there. Look at that. That is really pretty. That is really pretty. So I am going to add just a very thin line right here. And that's just going to lead up to the next step. Okay, so now I'm going to mix up some more resin because I need to add my beach to this backside or to the bottom. So I'm mixing in the chunky sand that has been cleaned and dried, and I've got 2 ounces mixed up in my cup this time. I'm just gonna just load it up. I don't know exactly how much I'll need, but let's see. Just want to be careful not to get any sand on my upper part. So I'm just going to be careful and kind of fill in the gaps in between where my rocks are, my big rocks. It's kind of like um, when you're using grout. I'm treating this kind of like the grout. And I am going to have spillage, I know that. I wanted to start with my big pieces first and then kind of fill in the gaps with this. And the resin is going to hold it all together. Get as close as I can to the edge, but I don't think it's like that big of a deal if I don't get all the way to the edge and you can still see a little bit of the wood. Is anybody in the long run, is anybody really going to care? I don't. I mean, there is no gentle way to do this. You just kind of have to go in there and just get it out of the cup and on the wood. And I could have done this with Mod Podge, but honestly, I just didn't want to wait for the Mod Podge to dry. I'm kind of sort of pressed for time. So I just wanted to get this on here and get it done. Try to get as close to that white line as I can. I have something else I'm going to add too, so you will see in just a minute. Well, not in a minute, the next day, once this is cured, before the second layer goes on. A little bit too uneven here, or too even. So I'm going to kind of add some right there. I wanted to go ahead and add, see if I can add this now while the sand is still
soft. I don't know if it's going to stick though. I may need to add some more resin around that. Just kind of build that out a little bit. I want to add, definitely going to have to add resin on that one. At least I can kind of get it started. I just added a few more embellishments to the sand part, and I really didn't need to add any more resin to make them stick. They were sticking just fine. Once it was fully cured, I decided not to add that second layer of waves on it like I had anticipated because I just didn't want to cover up this. I mean, look at how pretty this is. There's so much really neat texture and crackling in there. I didn't want to mess that up. So I did take it to my art show last weekend and it sold within 2 hours.